Life never warns you before it decides to break you apart. It does not knock on the door first. It does not ask whether you are prepared. It simply hits without mercy. And when that moment comes, most people fall apart. They collapse under the pressure, cry for help, run from the pain, and beg for comfort. But not you. Not if you truly want to become powerful. Not if you want to rise without depending on anyone to save you. Niccolò Machiavelli never spoke to people living comfortable lives. He spoke to the broken, the betrayed, and the abandoned. Because that is where the real game actually begins. The moment life tears everything apart, it starts watching what you choose to do next. You want to discover who you really are? Then let everything collapse around you. Let the money disappear. Let people walk away from you. Let the future become uncertain and frightening. That is where you finally meet yourself. And if your mind is weak, you will drown in self-pity and bitterness. But if your mind becomes cold, disciplined, and detached from panic, you will evolve into something stronger. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a teacher. It separates the fragile from the forged. And if you allow it to shape you instead of destroy you, pain will build a mind inside you that nothing in this world can ever bend again. This world doesn't care about how you feel. It only responds to what you become. When they leave you in the dark, don't scream. Sit in silence. Analyze. Watch your thoughts. Dissect your emotions. Learn where your weakness lives. Then starve it. Don't reach out. Reach inward. Because once you build a mind that doesn't collapse under pressure, you'll become someone they can never control again. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to stay soft. You are here to become dangerous to anything that ever tried to break you. If you feel that shift inside you, I want you to comment this right now. Pain sharpens my power. Write it. Lock it in. This is how we start. Number 1. Weak minds seek comfort. Strong minds seek control. When most people are hurt, they look for comfort, distractions, temporary highs. They run to friends, noise, or addictions to escape what's really happening inside their mind. But here's the truth. Comfort kills growth. And that's exactly what the world wants. A mind that's too addicted to ease will never rise to power. You want to be untouchable. You must rewire how your brain responds to pain. Machiavelli would tell you, control is the highest form of power. But it doesn't begin with others. It begins with your own reactions. You've been trained to numb yourself, scrolling, eating, blaming, all so you never face the real war happening within. But the one who rules his own mind owns the world. While others chase pleasure, you train focus. While they seek reassurance, you sit with discomfort. While they panic, you plan. That's not heartlessness. That's dominance over the only thing that truly matters, your own psychology. People will call you cold when you stop emotionally reacting. Let them. They only say that because they can no longer manipulate you. Silence will scare them. Your indifference will offend them. But you don't need their understanding. You need your mind to obey your will. You don't get there by being soft. You get there by confronting your darkest thoughts and refusing to flinch. This is where most break, but not you. Not anymore. If you're ready to train your mind beyond emotion, beyond weakness, beyond the need for comfort, comment this right now. My control is my revenge. Make it known. Say less. Power more. Number 2. Break the emotion. Build the edge. You were never weak because life hurt you. You became weak because you let emotion hijack your judgment. You handed over your mental power to feeling, to chaos, and the second you did, you became prey. Understand this pain is inevitable, but the interpretation is your choice. And in power psychology, the one who controls meaning controls everything. Life will break your body, but if it breaks your mind, you were never ready to begin with. And that is the truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You have to unlearn the idea that reacting emotionally makes you authentic. It doesn't. It makes you predictable. The world is constantly observing you, and if your reactions are automatic, then you are already under control. People learn exactly how to hurt you. They learn which words trigger you, which situations provoke your anger, your sadness, or your desperate need for validation. And every single time you react the same way, you confirm that you are still not free. So what is the move? You become emotionally disciplined, not emotionless, disciplined. You feel the pressure and the heat, but you do not react unless the response is intentional and calculated. You cry if you need to, but only behind closed doors. You speak less, but when you do speak, your words carry weight and precision. You stop wasting energy arguing with people who already decided they would never understand you in the first place. Why? Because your focus is sacred, and nobody deserves access to your mind unless they have earned the right to be there. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved. And in psychological warfare, love can make people weak. It attaches them to illusions and emotional dependency. But fear keeps people cautious. They'll watch what they say. They'll second-guess their moves. They'll respect you, even if they don't understand you. That's the edge you're building now. Not just strength, psychological sharpness. Control that doesn't need to yell to be felt. So the next time life throws fire at you, don't flinch, don't break, stare it down. You've been broken before. This time, you'll break through. That's the difference between who you were and who you're becoming. If you're ready to replace emotional chaos with mental dominance, I want you to comment this right now. I feel nothing. I move with precision. Burn that line into your brain. You're not here to react. You're here to rise. Number 3. Rewrite the narrative or stay broken. Most people stay broken because they accept the story life gave them. They wear their suffering like a badge, hoping someone will understand. But Machiavellian power isn't earned through pity. It's taken through mental warfare. You want to become untouchable? Then rewrite your story right now. Tear down every narrative that says you're a victim, that says you were wronged, that says life owes you something. Life owes you nothing. But it will give you power if you prove you're ruthless enough to take it. Your trauma is not your personality. Your pain is not your identity. Stop calling it your truth. It was a phase, a hit, a test. Now destroy it. You're not here to tell the world what happened to you. You're here to show the world who you became because of it. People will try to remind you of your past. Let them. Just make sure the version they're trying to talk to doesn't exist anymore. That's how you control the narrative, by killing off the version of yourself that stayed broken. Machiavelli understood that perception is more powerful than reality. So when you speak, make your words cut. When you walk, carry silence like a weapon. When they doubt you, don't explain, exceed. And when life hits again, as it will, you won't crumble. You'll calculate. You'll adapt. You'll use it. Because a man trained in pain becomes fluent in strategy. There will be nights when your mind feels like an enemy. You'll question everything. You'll want to disappear. And in that moment, you'll have one choice: collapse or construct. Collapse into weakness or construct your mental empire. You don't need more hope. You need more control. The mind doesn't respect motivation. It respects discipline. Feed it the truth and train it to obey under pressure. So here's the truth you etch in blood. You are not the damaged version of your past. You are the weapon that version created. Say it with power. I killed the old me. I walk as the weapon. Comment it now. If that switch just flipped in you, let the world scroll. You're building something they'll never be able to touch again. Number 4. Kill attachment. Build inner power. Attachment is the most silent killer of mental power. You don't see it at first. It feels warm. It feels like love. It feels like loyalty. It feels like hope. But underneath all of that, attachment slowly turns your strength into chains. You begin waiting for people, chasing after them, compromising your standards, bending yourself just to keep certain people, places, or possibilities that were never meant to stay in your life forever. And that becomes the first crack in your mental armor, caring too deeply about things that would never care about you the same way. Niccolò Machiavelli did not build power through attachment. He built it through observation, calculation, and the ability to detach the moment the time came. And if you truly want to train your mind to survive betrayal and hardship, then you must understand this principle deeply. Never attach your inner peace to anything outside yourself. Not to people, not to outcomes, not even to the version of yourself you believe you were supposed to become. Because the moment something gains control over your emotions, it gains control over you. And a man who is controlled emotionally becomes a weak man. You want to become dangerous? Then become emotionally independent. Learn the ability to remain calm while chaos surrounds you from every direction. People will begin wondering why you do not react the way they expected, why you do not beg, why you do not panic or flinch under pressure. And that is when you realize the transformation has truly begun. Your silence becomes unsettling. Your absence becomes loud. Your detachment becomes your dominance. Because while the world panics, you stay composed. Not because you don't feel, but because you no longer need. Every time you detach, you reclaim power. Every time you stop explaining, you sharpen focus. Every time you don't react, you earn respect. And every time you walk away, you remind the world you were never meant to be owned. You were meant to be observed from a distance. Understand this. Being unbothered is not coldness, it's control. And in Machiavellian warfare, control is everything. Now they'll try to guilt you. They'll say you've changed, that you don't care anymore, that you've become selfish. Let them. The truth is, You finally stopped playing the role of the emotional servant. You stopped bleeding for people who never noticed your wounds. You stopped shrinking so others could feel taller. And now that you've decided to choose power over approval, the same people who used your kindness will try to rewrite the script. But they don't get to anymore, because you see through it now. Clear, cold, focused. You've spent too long confusing attachment for loyalty. But loyalty to others means nothing if it costs you loyalty to yourself. This is the turning point. You don't need closure. You don't need applause. You need clarity and the mental distance to execute your next move in silence. This is what Machiavelli would have called the supreme discipline of rulers. To act without being seen, to feel without being enslaved, and to cut without hesitation when necessary. So train your mind to drop what weakens it, release what drains, silence what distracts. You're not in this world to please. You're here to position. And positioning begins with emotional withdrawal. You must build an internal fortress no one has the key to. And once you do, the world loses its grip on you. They can talk, leave, lie, or betray, but they will never break what they cannot access. The more you detach, the more they notice. Not because you're gone, but because you're no longer dependent on being seen. Power doesn't chase. Power disappears and lets absence do the damage. That's your new form of warfare. Subtle, cold, effective. If something inside you finally snapped, if you're ready to cut all emotional chains and walk with power alone, I want you to comment this right now. Attachment is weakness. I choose control. Say it. Lock it. Let the weak scroll past, because you're here to rule from within. Number 5. Isolation is where kings are forged. They'll tell you that being alone is dangerous, that isolation is a sign of failure, that distance means you're broken. But that's a lie told by those who can't stand silence. Weak minds need noise. Most people are terrified of being alone with themselves. They need constant noise, constant people, constant distractions and attention just to avoid confronting the battle happening inside their own minds. But you are no longer like them. You are stepping into a phase that most people could never survive. The phase of chosen isolation. Not loneliness, solitude. And inside that solitude, you are about to build something that cannot easily be broken. Your mind. This is the point where the outside world grows silent, and your inner thoughts become louder than ever before. Every fear you try to bury, every insecurity, every regret, will slowly rise to the surface. But understand this clearly. This is not punishment. It is an audit of who you really are. Niccolò Machiavelli thrived in environments like this. He watched silently, calculated carefully, and sharpened his thinking in the shadows while everyone else distracted themselves in the light. Because isolation gives you something most people never experience. A space free from illusion. A place where you finally see yourself clearly. Who you are, what wounded you, and which parts of your old self need to burn away for you to rise stronger. Most people spend their entire lives running from this process. They drown the silence with music, endless scrolling, conversations, entertainment, anything to escape facing their own reflection. But you are going to do the opposite. You are going to sit inside the silence and master it. You will hear your own mind screaming at you, and you will not panic. You will hear old beliefs begging to survive, and one by one, you will eliminate them. This isn't healing, it's transformation. And transformation is never pretty. It's brutal, it's cold, but it's real. This is where you rewrite the code. You stop thinking like a servant and start thinking like a strategist. You detach from emotional noise and attach to tactical clarity. You rewire how you wake up, how you speak, how you walk into a room. You no longer chase dopamine. You chase discipline. You no longer ask why things happened. You ask how you can use them. That shift, that's your rebirth. Not soft, not spiritual, strategic. In isolation, you'll find every weakness trying to crawl back in. Old habits will whisper. Past relationships will try to resurrect. Your doubts will disguise themselves as logic. But this is where you separate yourself from the 99%. You don't answer the knock. You don't reopen what broke you. You build alone. You study alone. You evolve alone. And the next time they see you, you won't be the same. When a man returns from isolation, he is either more broken or more dangerous. There is no middle. The weak come back needing validation. The powerful come back needing nothing. That's the path you're on. You're not doing this for attention. You're doing it to reclaim your edge. The world rewards those who control themselves, not those who broadcast their healing journey. Silence becomes your gym. Loneliness becomes your weapon. And when life throws fire again, you won't run. You'll walk through it with a mind trained in solitude and eyes that don't blink. That's what scares them. That you no longer need anyone to feel whole. That you no longer share your plans. That you no longer beg for understanding. Because now, you've tasted what true power feels like. Freedom from the word's approval. Machiavelli wrote his sharpest strategies alone. He understood that influence isn't built in crowds, it's built in the shadows. And so must you. Stop trying to fix your mind in public. Stop seeking answers from people who don't even know themselves. Go inward. Go dark. Let your silence cook your next move. And when you return, don't explain, don't announce, just execute. The ones who ghosted you, doubted you, played with you, they won't know how to react because you'll come back with no emotion, no need, no dependence. Just calm, brutal precision. That's what happens when you embrace isolation. You don't become a better version of your old self. You become someone they never imagined. So, I'll ask you this. Are you ready to disappear from everything that distracts and reappear as everything they fear? If the answer is yes, then comment this right now. I train in silence. I return with power. Let them keep talking. You're done explaining. You're just getting started. Number 6. Turn pain into precision. Learn to think like a tactician. Pain is the greatest intelligence test life will ever give you. Not school, not books, not degrees. Real pain. The kind that destroys your routine, crushes your ego, and tears apart the illusions you were hiding behind. And in the middle of that chaos, weak people beg for comfort and escape. But the people who eventually rise above everyone else become silent. They stop reacting emotionally and begin calculating strategically. They study pain like it carries a message, like it is a puzzle to solve, like it is a warning from life itself saying, adapt now or disappear. If you are still reacting to pain only with emotion, then you still have not understood what pain is trying to teach you. Pain is data. It reveals where you are exposed. It reveals what other people can use against you. It exposes who you became dependent on, who you trusted too much, and where your mental defenses were weakest. This is the moment where you stop treating pain like an enemy and begin using it like a scalpel. You dissect it carefully. You sit with it instead of running from it. And you ask yourself one brutal question. Why did this affect me so deeply? And eventually, the answer always leads back to the same thing. You let your mind fall asleep. Machiavelli would tell you, never let peace lull you into softness. The world is not a safe place. It's a board of moods, traps, and consequences. And when you treat life like a battlefield, you begin to act like a tactician. Pain stops being bad. It becomes feedback. Your heartbreak data, your failure, map coordinates, your betrayal, a list of vulnerabilities you need to seal shut. While others collapse under emotion, you start crafting responses, not reactions, responses. Because a response is a product of strategy. It's timed, it's chosen, it's cold. That's power. You see, most people are playing checkers with their pain, jumping too fast, too loud, too desperate. But you play chess. You stop asking, why me? And you start asking, where can this pain position me long term? That's the Machiavellian mindset. Cold, clear, focused. Every time life stabs you, don't bleed. Analyze. What did it expose? What weakness in your system made it possible? What blind spot let them get close? What habit left your energy scattered? Pain isn't just an alert. It's a blueprint. But only if you're ruthless enough to look at it without flinching. And here's where your power multiplies. When you begin to predict pain, you stop walking into the same traps. You see the pattern before it repeats. You read people before they open their mouths. That's not trauma. That's tactical memory. It's your nervous system saying, I've seen this move before. We're not falling for it again. This is the birth of intuition, sharpened by experience, filtered through logic. You no longer feel your way through life. You observe, and from observation, you calculate. That's what makes you terrifying. But strategy isn't just what you do to others. It's how you treat yourself. You wake up with a protocol. You don't let random thoughts set your mood. You don't let emotion dictate your decisions. You sit still, breathe, and decide what the day demands of you. Do you need to be calm, cold, assertive, silent, aggressive? Strategic people never walk into situations unarmed. And that weapon you carry isn't in your hand, it's in your mind. You begin to filter everything. Conversations, relationships, habits. You stop talking for validation. You start speaking with intention. You stop showing up to be liked. You start entering spaces with presence. And every time someone tests you, you don't bark, you observe. You don't argue, you document. You don't react, you reposition. That's the man life fears, the one who doesn't just survive pain, but uses it to refine his sharpness. You walk different, you think ahead, you smile less. But when you do, it means something. You don't need to be loud. Your silence becomes a warning. That's the energy that changes rooms without saying a word. You've been taught to feel your feelings. No. Feel your strategy. Study your patterns. Rebuild your responses. Emotion is a signal, not a command. It's not here to rule you. It's here to guide you into deeper logic, into presence, into precision. And if you learn to stay calm under fire, they'll never see your next move coming. That's what they fear most. Not the man who explodes, but the man who calculates in silence. Machiavelli understood something the world forgot, that strategy is the only true power. Charm fades, emotions fluctuate, but strategy outlasts them all. It's how the weak flip the script. It's how the broken rewrite the outcome. And now, that's your new identity. Not stronger, sharper. Not healed, calculated. Not nice, unreadable. So from this point forward, stop praying for less pain. Train your mind to extract the value inside it. That's how you win. You don't rise by being the loudest. You rise by being the one who knows how to move without being moved. And if you're ready to turn pain into power, real, dangerous, strategic power, I want you to comment this right now. I no longer react, I reposition. Write it, own it, move in silence. Now let the weak keep screaming. You're working on your next move. Number 7, become emotionally immune. Kill their control. Let's get one thing straight. The world doesn't destroy you with weapons. It destroys you with expectations, with pressure, with emotional bait. You're told to be nice when you should be silent, to forgive when you should walk away, to explain when you should disappear. And every time you comply, you lose a piece of yourself. That's how control works, not with force, with emotion. But you're not playing that game anymore. You're done bleeding for people who sharpen the knife. This is where you begin your emotional immunity. Not numbness, immunity. The difference. Numbness avoids, immunity absorbs and remains unaffected. That's the power you're building now. You don't let their words pierce. You don't let their absence shake you. You don't let their opinions override your standard. You hear it, you see it, but it doesn't reach your core. Why? Because you've reinforced the walls inside, and nothing that isn't truth gets through. The weak give their energy away like it's nothing. One insult and they spiral. One ghosted message and they lose all self-respect. One setback happens, and most people immediately collapse into a victim mindset. But Niccolò Machiavelli would tell you that a ruler must remain unshakable. Not because he is emotionless or cold-hearted, but because he stays focused. You cannot control your empire if you cannot control your emotions. You cannot lead other people if a few careless words are enough to destabilize your mind. And you definitely cannot protect your peace if you continue giving people unlimited access to your inner world as if it has no value. You must begin auditing everything that touches your energy. Every conversation, every environment, every person around you. Ask yourself constantly, does this strengthen me or does this scatter me? And the moment you notice yourself shrinking, doubting your worth, or hesitating because of someone's presence, you cut the attachment, emotionally, strategically, and quietly. This is not about revenge. This is about preservation. People do not need a dramatic explanation to understand you are done. They simply need to feel the emptiness where your emotional investment used to exist. You're not here to chase clarity from people who enjoy keeping you confused. And you're not here to spend your life proving your value to people who benefit from making you question it. Your self-respect is not up for negotiation anymore. You know who you are now. And that version doesn't ask twice, doesn't chase, doesn't beg. It's a version that walks away so silently, people start to wonder if they ever truly had access to you at all. This is what makes you terrifying. That you're no longer reachable by manipulation, that they can't predict your reaction, that you respond with calm, not chaos. You don't clap back, you don't rant, you don't argue. You vanish emotionally first, physically later. And when they go looking for the version of you that used to play their game, they'll find emptiness. That's power. That's your new weapon. Absence loaded with present. You must build a standard so high that anyone who brings inconsistency, disrespect, or emotional confusion self-destructs before they can reach your core. Not because you attack them, but because your emotional clarity acts like a mirror. It shows them who they are, and most people can't stand their reflection, especially when it's not being softened by your sympathy anymore. Let them call you distant. Let them say you've changed. They're right. You have. You've evolved past the version of yourself that needed to be liked, that over-explained, that tolerated. You've become immune to anything that drains you, and now they can feel it. That coldness, it's not hate, it's peace. That silence, it's not distance, it's protection. You no longer seek to be understood. You seek to be undisturbed. Machiavelli said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." So ask yourself, who gets access to your word? Who still has emotional power over you? Who do you let inside even after they've broken your mind a dozen times? That's your audit. That's your cleanup mission. And when it's done, you'll stand lighter, sharper, more dangerous than ever before. Because nothing is more powerful than a man who has learned to protect his inner state. Not with aggression, not with revenge, but with distance, discipline, and detachment. You don't scream for respect. You live in such a way that disrespect can't even enter your space. And when life tries to test you again, it won't find the same entry points. You've sealed the cracks. You've burned the bridges. And what stands now is a mind immune to everything that once broke it. So I'll ask you this. Are you still reacting, or are you controlling? Are you still bleeding for the same stories, or are you rewriting them? Are you still giving emotional power to the unworthy, or have you cut the cord? If you're done being emotionally available to anything that weakens you, comment this now. My peace is locked. No one gets in. Let the world keep reaching for the old you. That door is sealed shut. You've entered a state of psychological control now, and once you arrive here, you never go back. Number 8. Weaponize your presence. Command without a word. Powerful men don't speak often. They don't explain themselves. They don't argue in public. They walk in silence, but their presence speaks louder than words ever could. That's not arrogance. That's calibration. They know the battlefield they're walking on. They know eyes are watching. They know perception shapes reality. And they know this: the less you say, the more control you hold. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You need to carry energy that forces people to feel your presence without understanding why. That's what Machiavelli meant when he wrote that rulers must appear strong even when they are not, because perception in the game of power always outranks truth. And now you train for this to become unreadable, calm, cold, controlled. A presence so collected that others feel exposed around you. Not because you're doing anything, but because they can't decode you. Your silence becomes a mirror. People project onto you their guilt, their fear, their intentions, and you say nothing. You let them reveal themselves, while you reveal nothing. That's how you win without lifting a finger. By being the one who doesn't need to speak to shift the atmosphere. You've seen it before. A room changes when a certain person walks in. The energy tightens, the conversations shift, people adjust their posture. That's not magic. That's presence. And presence is built in solitude, in discipline, in quiet self-mastery. It's built when you no longer chase approval. When you walk with calm certainty in who you are and who you are not. This is where your true dominance begins. Not in force, but in the refusal to overexpress. Weak men overcompensate. They talk too much, brag too loud, over-explain. That's insecurity in disguise. But you're becoming something rarer. A man who can sit still in a storm. A man who doesn't flinch under insult. A man who doesn't react because he's always already 2 steps ahead. You're not interested in being liked anymore. You're interested in being felt. That's the difference. Liked men are available, soft, flexible. Felt men are unpredictable, self-contained, and respected from a distance. You don't beg for attention. You remove it. And the second you withdraw, they panic. They feel it. Because silence from a man with power is louder than 100 empty voices. Machiavelli would tell you, the most feared men in history weren't always the loudest. They were the most deliberate. They didn't broadcast their plans. They executed them. They didn't seek revenge through noise. They let their absence rearrange the room. That's what you're learning now. To replace performance with presence. To replace explanation with observation. To walk into spaces like your energy is currency, because it is. It is. If they don't respect your presence, make them feel your absence. If they talk over you, go silent. If they challenge you, respond with action, not noise. This is the new form of war. Psychological, invisible, lethal. You don't need to dominate with aggression. You dominate by being untouchable. The one who doesn't blink. The one who walks away without needing to justify why. The one who never begs to be seen, but is always noticed. But don't get it twisted. This kind of power isn't for the weak. It requires brutal self-control. You have to kill the need to prove yourself. You have to bury the impulse to defend your name every time it's spoken. You have to train your face to remain calm when people lie to you, provoke you, or try to expose your weaknesses. That is the moment you actually win. Not when you react emotionally or try to strike back with words, But when you give them absolutely nothing, no reaction, no emotional access, no visible frustration, just a calm, controlled expression that silently says, "I noticed what you were trying to do. I calculated it, and it was not even worth my energy." You become dangerous the moment you stop reacting automatically. When your silence forces people to sit alone with their own behavior. When your presence makes them think carefully before choosing their words around you. That is how real respect is built. Not through loud demands, but through the psychological contrast between the reaction people expect from you and the response they actually receive. If they expect you to argue and you remain silent, that is power. If they expect you to chase after them and you disappear completely, that is power. If they expect you to collapse under pressure and instead you rise even stronger, that is real, calculated power. Most people will never admit it openly, but they will feel it internally, and they will adjust the way they treat you because of it. That is what being feared without becoming cruel actually looks like. It is not about hurting people. It is about carrying yourself with a level of self-control that silently communicates, "I do not need your approval. I do not blindly trust you, and I do not owe you explanations." That alone terrifies people because most can't survive without attention. Most can't breathe without validation. But you're teaching yourself to thrive in silence. And that makes you a threat in every room you enter. So from this day forward, let your presence speak for you. Don't explain your value. Become so focused, so emotionally disciplined, and so unreadable that they feel it before you ever speak. You don't owe the world your words. You owe yourself your power. If you're ready to become that, comment this now. My presence is my power. My silence is my strike. Number 9. The unbreakable mind. Cold, clear, untouchable. You felt the betrayal. You've endured the silence. You've sat alone in the dark with thoughts that nearly ate you alive. And yet you're still here, stronger, quieter, colder. Not because life got easier, but because you finally understood the world doesn't reward softness. It rewards the mind that refuses to die, even when everything else does. This is the moment you become something else. Not a survivor, not a victim, but a weapon, a presence, a mind that doesn't flinch when it's tested, because it has been tested 1,000 times in silence. And every time it didn't break, it recalculated. That's what Machiavelli meant when he said, "Men must either be feared or crushed." Because power doesn't exist in half measures. It doesn't belong to the emotional. It doesn't respond to the hopeful. It bows only to those who train their minds like an assassin trains his blade. Cold, sharp, and always ready. This final stage is where most people turn back. They miss the old comfort, the noise, the validation. But not you. You don't miss the past because you've burned the bridge. You've seen what being soft gets you, overlooked, used, forgotten. You've seen what over-explaining does. It makes people ignore you more. You've seen what reacting emotionally brings, weakness. You've outgrown all of it, and now you don't look back. You construct forward. The unbreakable mind isn't born through hope. It's built through design, through choice, through ritual. Every morning you choose to stay sharp. Every decision is a move. Every response is calculated. You stop chasing outcomes, you build leverage. You stop giving access, you raise the price. You stop proving worth, you live like a man who doesn't ask for value. When life hits now, you don't panic. You pause. You don't collapse. You adjust. You don't seek comfort. You seek control. That's the difference between the old you and the new version that's emerging. One needed things to go right. This one knows how to win even when everything goes wrong, because the game isn't emotional anymore. It's psychological. It's strategic. It's war. And your mind is the battlefield. So you walk different now, not with arrogance, but with power. You speak less, but when you do, people listen. You no longer try to fit into rooms. You own the space with your presence. You no longer explain your silence. You wear it like armor. That's the mark of someone who's trained in fire. Someone who stopped waiting to be understood and started becoming impossible to ignore. Machiavelli would have called this state invincibility through perception. The moment people realize they can't control your mind, they start respecting you differently. They stop testing you. They stop wasting your time, because everything about your presence communicates one thing. This man is untouchable, not because he fights, but because he no longer bleeds for the world. The mind you've trained can't be seduced by attention anymore. It can't be shaken by betrayal. It can't be lured back into old patterns with shallow promises. It sees through manipulation. It remains calm under pressure. It thinks 5 moves ahead. It no longer trusts easily, yet it no longer fears completely either. That is a mind built for war. That is a mind that refuses to collapse under pressure. It observes quietly, waits patiently, and only strikes when the moment truly requires it. You did not become this person by accident. You became this way because life tried repeatedly to break you apart. And instead of letting those experiences destroy you, you turned every broken piece into fuel, every betrayal into a blueprint, and every disappointment into something that sharpened you. That is the kind of power nobody can take away from you, because the world never handed it to you in the first place. You built it yourself, in silence, step by step, with no audience watching. And now, you lead. Not from behind a mask, not through noise or attention, but through depth, clarity, and cold understanding. You no longer entertain things that are meaningless. You no longer emotionally invest yourself in chaos. You do not waste time giving warnings. Your absence already says enough. You do not need to show off your strength, because your energy alone makes people reconsider the way they speak before they even open their mouths. This is the final state. Not emotional detachment used only for defense, but psychological clarity that creates quiet dominance. You stopped reacting helplessly to life. You started controlling the way you move through it. You trained your mind to remain strong even when life tried to break you apart. And that, right there, is Machiavelli's coldest law. He who controls his mind controls the world. So, I'll leave you with this final truth. You are no longer rebuilding. You are reprogramming. And the man you're becoming doesn't apologize for being calculated. He doesn't explain his coldness. He doesn't shrink for anyone's comfort. He doesn't seek permission. He builds position. That's the energy that rises to the top. That's the mindset that no loss, no betrayal, no chaos can destroy. If this series carved a new reality into you, then let the world know. Drop this in the comments. I am untouchable now. I own my mind. That's the final signal that you've arrived, that you're done being broken, that you've stopped begging and started building. Now go quietly and let your next move make the world. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. This channel was never made to comfort you. It was made to give you clarity. And I'll see you in the next video.